Why emotionally reactive people stay broke. A few years ago, I made a financial decision that looked perfectly reasonable at the time. In fact, if you had asked me why I was doing it, I could have given you a convincing answer. I had done the research, I had listened to other people's opinions, and emotionally, it felt like the right move. But a few months later, I realized something uncomfortable. The decision wasn't driven by logic, it was driven by emotion. Fear of missing out, impatience, the desire to see results faster. And when I looked back at some of the worst decisions I'd ever made, they all had one thing in common. Emotion was driving, logic was taking the passenger's seat. And that's when I started noticing something. Many people don't stay broke because they lack intelligence. They stay stuck because they struggle to control emotional reactions. Now, before someone gets offended, I'm not talking about intelligence here. Some of the smartest people I know struggle financially. And some of the people with average qualifications quietly build wealth year after year. Which raises an interesting question. If intelligence alone created financial success, why do so many highly educated people still struggle with money? And why do some ordinary people steadily build wealth without doing anything extraordinary? The answer is surprisingly simple. Money rewards behavior more than intelligence. Because financial success is rarely determined by what you know. It's usually determined by what you repeatedly do. And that's where emotions become expensive. Think about it. Most financial mistakes don't happen because people lack information. They happen because people react emotionally. They panic when markets fall. They overspend when they are stressed. They chase opportunities when they are excited. They quit too early when progress feels slow. And each of those reactions creates consequences. Not immediately, but over time. And that's why emotional control is one of the most underrated financial skills in the world. Yet almost nobody talks about it. Instead, people focus on information, more books, more videos, more strategies, more opportunities, as if knowledge alone solves the problem. But knowledge isn't usually the issue because most people already know what they should do. They know they should save more, spend less, invest consistently, avoid unnecessary debt, build additional income streams. The challenge isn't knowledge. The challenge is execution, and execution becomes difficult when emotions take control. Think about money heist. The professor wasn't successful because he was the smartest person in the room. He was successful because he stayed calm when everyone else became emotional. Every time panic entered the equation, mistakes followed. Tokyo reacted emotionally, others reacted emotionally, and those reactions almost destroyed the plan multiple times. The professor, on the other hand, kept returning to the system, the structure, the strategy. Financial life works the same way. The people who build wealth are rarely the people making the fastest decisions. They are usually the people making the most controlled decisions. Because emotional reactions create mistakes. Controlled responses create progress. Now let's make this practical. Imagine someone sees a colleague arrive at work with a brand new luxury vehicle. Immediately, an emotional response appears. Comparison, pressure, status. And without realizing it, they begin making financial decisions based on emotion instead of reality. The same thing happens with investing. Someone sees a success story online. They hear about someone making money from stocks, real estate, a business, or another income producing asset, suddenly patience disappears, logic disappears, and urgency takes over. Imagine. The opportunity may be good or it may be terrible. But emotion doesn't care. Emotion wants action. And action without clarity is usually expensive. That's why financially successful people often appear boring. Not because they are less ambitious, but because they are less reactive. They don't feel the need to react to everything. They don't feel the need to respond to every opportunity, every trend, every opinion, every headline. They understand something most people miss. Every financial decision carries a cost, and emotional decisions usually carry the highest cost of all. And here's where things become even more interesting, because emotional reactivity doesn't just affect spending or investing, it affects almost every financial decision you make. Think about what happens when life becomes difficult. A stressful week at work, an unexpected bill, a disagreement at home. Most people assume these situations are separate from money. They are not. Because emotions don't stay in one area of life, they spill over. Stress changes spending behavior. Frustration changes decision making. Anxiety changes risk tolerance. And suddenly, financial decisions that seemed rational yesterday become emotional today. This is why two people with the same income can end up in completely different financial situations. Now, one person experiences stress and spends to feel better. The other experiences stress and sticks to their financial plan. Same income, different emotional response. Different outcome, and over time those outcomes compound. Now let me share something that took me years to understand. Most people think financial success is about making better decisions, but often it's about avoiding bad decisions. That sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful, because wealth is usually destroyed faster than it's built. One emotional purchase, one impulsive investment, one unnecessary debt decision, one attempt to get rich quickly, and the years of progress can disappear. That's why financial maturity isn't measured by how aggressively you grow your money. It's measured by how consistently you protect it. Now, think about House of the Dragon. The characters who constantly reacted emotionally created chaos. Every insult became a conflict. Every disagreement became a battle. Every emotional reaction created consequences. But the individuals who survived the longest were often the ones who paused before reacting. They understood that not every emotion deserves action. Financial life works exactly the same way. Not every opportunity deserves your money. Not every trend deserves your attention. Not every idea deserves your commitment. And not every emotion deserves a financial decision. That last one is important, because most adults act as if every feeling requires a response. Excited? Buy something. Frustrated? Spend something. Impatient? Change the plan. Fearful? Exit the investment. Confident? Take bigger risks. But successful people learn something different. They separate feelings from actions. They still feel fear. They still feel excitement. They still feel uncertainty. The difference is that those emotions don't automatically control behavior. And that brings us to one of the most important financial skills you'll ever develop: the ability to pause. A pause sounds insignificant, but it can save you thousands. Sometimes the most profitable financial decision you'll ever make is waiting 24 hours. not buying immediately, not investing immediately, not reacting immediately, just waiting. Because emotions are temporary, but financial consequences are often permanent. Now, this becomes even more important when you're trying to build additional income, whether that's a business, investments, real estate, trading, content creation, or any income producing asset. Because every one of those paths comes with emotional pressure. You'll see people succeeding faster than you. You'll see opportunities that look exciting. You'll experience periods when results are slow. And if your emotions are controlling your actions, you'll constantly switch direction. One month you're building a business. The next month you're chasing a new trend. Then you're trying something else. Then something else. Then something else again. 5 years later, you've been busy the entire time, but you've built very little. Not because opportunities don't exist, but because emotional reactions prevented consistency. And this is exactly why financial education matters so much. Financial education isn't just about understanding money, it's about understanding yourself. Because the biggest financial battles are rarely happening in the markets or the economy or your bank account. They are happening in your mind. The battle between patience and urgency, the battle between logic and emotion, the battle between long term thinking and short term feelings. And the people who win those battles repeatedly are usually the people who build wealth. This is one of the reasons why the 3C method begins with financial education before skill building. Because before someone learns how to create additional income, they need to learn how to think about money, how to manage it, how to protect it, how to make decisions without emotional interference. Because making money is only half the equation. Keeping it, growing it, and scaling it responsibly requires emotional control. That's where clarity comes in. Clarity helps you know what you're building, why you're building it, and what matters most. Then comes control. Control prevents emotion from taking over every decision. It creates rules, structure, boundaries. And finally comes consistency. Because once clarity and control are in place, consistency becomes possible. And consistency is what creates financial progress. Not intensity, not excitement, not motivation, consistency. Now, here's the irony. The people who appear the most successful financially often look the least emotional about money. Not because they don't care, but because they have learned not to react to every situation. They understand that wealth is often built quietly, patiently, methodically, without constant emotional swings. And that's why emotionally reactive people often stay stuck. Not because they're incapable, not because they are unintelligent, but because every emotional decision pulls them away from the behaviors that create wealth. While emotionally controlled people keep moving forward, one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one disciplined action at a time. So if you feel stuck financially, don't just ask yourself, what do I need to learn? Ask yourself, how often are my emotions making financial decisions for me? Because that answer may reveal more than any investment strategy ever could. Now, in the end, financial success is really about who knows the most. It's about who can execute clearly, under pressure, without emotional interference. Because money rewards behavior, and behavior is controlled far more by emotions than intelligence. Master your emotions, and your financial decisions improve. Improve your financial decisions, and your financial future starts to change. That's the real difference. Not intelligence, not lack, emotional control.